Well. You've decided that you want to learn Magneto and you came to me for help. Well, I appreciate that. Whether it's support or if you're genuinely curious on how I think you should play and whatever the case may be, I appreciate you checking out the video. Now, in today's video, it's going to be the first part of a new series I will be bringing to this channel, Masterclasses. Today's subject, Magneto. What makes him tick? How does he tick? Where does he fit in? What are his abilities? Etc., etc. All of that will be brought to you guys today from my own little perspective, and we'll see what you guys think. Now, like I said, this one is going to be targeted around our favorite Jewish mutant who loves magnets, Magneto. Easily one of my favorite tanks in the game, and honestly just one of my favorite characters within Marvel, but it used to always not be like that as far as one of my favorite tanks in the game. I've gotten him to Lord a while ago, and currently I'm sitting at 32 hours playtime with him. Now, while some people might not think it's impressive, whatever the case may be, this is going to be from a GM perspective. I am in GM2, and I would like to share my thoughts and perspective on how to play him. So strap in. This is Magneto's Masterclass. Now, to start things off, let's talk about Magneto's abilities and where they place him within the Vanguard category. Now, firstly, wait a minute. I need a haircut. Oh my god. Oh, I'll be back.
Many minutes later.
Yeah, that's better. Okay, where were we? All right, okay. To start things off, we're going to talk about what Magneto does as far as abilities and where it places him within the Vanguard category. Now, first up, we're going to talk about his primary Iron Volley. Iron Volley is a single fire projectile that deals 40 damage and drops by 50% within a 3-meter like splash range, you could say. He also has 10 charges before he has to reload. Worth noting, I primarily have the most success using this when I keep my targets at the 20 to 25 meter range. For some reason, I don't know if it's just because of the addition of the splash damage, but I just find it easier to consistently deal damage and hit shots within that range. Like, you can do it when they're close up to you, but he kind of aims slightly to the left, and like the trajectory kind of can get thrown off a bit. So like, there's that 20 to 25 meter range. If you practice enough at that, hitting your targets, you'll be able to walk that in the more you play them. Now, like I said in the beginning, this was the main reason I kind of was straying away from him, because like I said, you aim to the left a little bit, so it's funky. It really does take some getting used to. It takes some time, it takes some practice to be able to consistently hit your shots. And at the time, it wasn't something that was really worth doing, because I thought he should play similar to another character from another game that we won't talk about here. But yeah, I just, after some time, and once I finally really got that down, I was able to really appreciate him and love him as a character. So I'm glad that I did it. And you'll definitely, I think, spend a lot of your time trying to hit those shots, as well as like working on your ultimate, but we'll get into all that later. Next up, we're going to talk about Metallic Curtain. Now, this is his main shield that lasts about 1 second and blocks all projectile damage during that time. It's also on a 3-second cooldown and stays within your with your character model. So if you move around, it'll stay to the front of you. Now, I can't lie to you guys. I'm very undecided on how I feel about this, because I kind of wish it was a deployable shield. I'm not a fan of it being on like a timer. Maybe it should have had a resource. I really don't know. But what I can say is, like, at least for right now, I mean, it's working. It works. That plus the addition of another one of his damage mitigation abilities, like it's fine. But like I said, I'm kind of up in the air. Like, if they were to change it, I wouldn't be mad about it. I don't really think anybody would, because as it stands, it's kind of funky. Takes a little bit of getting used to. The timing is going to be really important that you get that down. So yeah. Now, I think as far as shields go, it's on a relatively long cooldown, so you're going to want to use it very sparingly. Primarily when you're about to perform a push, maybe even when you're falling back. They're doing a lot of damage, so you have to retreat. These are going to be the key times that you're going to use it, because again, 3 seconds is a long time not to have your shield. So you're going to use it sparingly. You're going to have to really think about it. And yeah, that's going to lead us into our next ability, Iron Bulwark. Yeah, so it's one bubble, but it's called iron bulwark and metal bulwark if casted on an ally. Yeah, for the sake of the video, we're just gonna call it the bulwark bubble. So hope you're cool with that. The bulwark bubble can take 300 damage and last 2.5 seconds. It's on a 10-second cooldown, so it's a lot longer than your shield. However, you can weave them in between and get maximum damage mitigation that way. Like I said, you can cast it on both yourself and an ally. However, it's a shared cooldown, so you cannot put it on both at once. Now, this move also directly buffs another one of his abilities, which we'll be getting into next. So here we go. So yeah, the more damage absorbed by the bulwark bubbles converts the rings on Magneto's back into basically like damage, you can say, for his mag cannon. Now you'll see that it passively, these rings will develop. It just, like I said, it accelerates the process, absorbing damage with those with the bubbles. Now, obviously, you know, keeping track of rings on your back isn't the ideal situation, but if you noticed, like right underneath your crosshair, you'll see like little triangle looking symbols. Those will charge up 1 to 3 the longer things go on or the more damage you absorb or whatever. Each one of the 3 little thingies equals 1 ring. So that's the easiest way and like the preferred method of tracking how many rings you have. Now the mag cannon itself. Higher stacks of rings give increased damage, while full stacks knock back the enemy when hit. Mind you, it's just a knockback, it's just a simple displacement, it's not a stun. Mag cannon is a single cast projectile with 3 levels of damage. Now the first ring does 40 damage, the second ring does 65, and the final ring does 90 damage with the added benefit of knocking back your opponent. Now, the knockback is said to be 6 meters, so keep that in mind. Another thing that I noticed is that you can count each level of ring as a specific percentage point to your ultimate charge. So let's say you have 1 ring and you hit the enemy, that's going to be 1% towards your ultimate. 2 rings counts as 2%, and then 3 rings counts as 3%. So that's just a little fun fact that I had noticed. So if anyone was wondering if Magneto had any combos, not really, you kind of do. Let's say you have your third ring, your mag cannon fully charged. You can activate your bubble, hit them with your mag cannon, receive the damage through the bubble, poke them with your primary, and then by the time the bubble breaks, you'll have your mag cannon fully charged again. That's about as great of a combo as you can get out of them. Now we're going to move on, but before we get to his final ability, his ultimate, he does have a passive that we're going to touch on. Now, his passive is called Magnetic Descent, which slows down how fast he falls. There's no horizontal movement. You just fall at 3.5 meters per second. It's nothing super big, super fancy, nothing like that. Honestly, I think at some point they might rework it to where he can go horizontally. I don't know, but as it stands, it's just you fall slower. Nothing crazy there. But we're gonna go ahead and move on to his last ability, his ultimate, Meteor M. And I honestly believe that this might be the hardest ability in the game. Now, on paper, it sounds pretty complicated, so I'm going to do my best to dumb it down. Meteor M is an ability where Magneto sucks up all incoming projectiles into a metallic mass, dealing massive damage once released and once impacted. If you absorb too much damage, your meteor will self-destruct, and there's a numerical number to inform you how much charge it has. I said numerical number, I'm a fucking dumbass. Basically, it'll go up 1 to 100, and then that range, once it hits 100, it'll self-destruct. That's what I mean, like it's an increasing number to show you how much charge it has. Now, as of right now, cool thing about Magneto, this is the only tank ability that can kill a support through their defensive ults. Now, obviously, Penny Parker can like stack mines and do burst damage like that, but as far as a singular ability, a single shot, cast ability, whatever the case may be, Magneto's ultimate is the only one within the Vanguard rule that can do that through defensive ults. It's also good against like Star-Lord ults, Spider-Man, Iron Man, because again, it absorbs all projectiles, so you can use it defensively in that manner. Some use it against Punisher, don't do that. It lasts literally like 2 seconds. Unless you're coordinated with your team that, hey guys, I'm gonna buy you 2 fucking seconds, focus him, you don't do it, because you're wasting your ultimate, you're still gonna fucking die, he's gonna melt it. You know, you might be able to, within those 2 seconds, get a perfect shot off on him. But again, it's going to probably burst more likely than not. I definitely think this is the hardest ability in the game just because it's super telegraphed. It's super easy to avoid. It's super easy to disrupt. It's just a very hard ability to get maximum value out of. Now, with all that being said, I personally classify Magneto as a poke tank. He does best when the opponent's at a distance and he can poke at him from that. He works really well against other range type characters, like Punisher or maybe Hawkeye, stuff like that. He's weakest against brawl and dive comps, more specifically brawl. If they're able to close that distance on you, they will beat the fuck out of you, and there's not much you can do about it. He has very, very slight CC with the mag cannon, but again, it's only a pushback, nothing more, nothing less. His melee isn't really worth the melee weave that we do with some other tanks. It's just because the animation is really slow, and I really mean like just the build up, because you have to construct a sword and you swing it. It's just like a longer animation. It's not worth it. Just poking with your primary is faster. Now, obviously, if you're going to get somebody with a shield and they're low health, then absolutely it's worth it in that regard because it goes through shields. However, if you're not in that very specific situation, just keep poking at them. Magneto is a no mobility, low CC, high sustained tank that can be used both as a solo and duo vanguard. Save your bubbles for divers or people being dove on. Really get good at that mag cannon bubble combo. Like, that's going to be your bread and butter. Putting that bubble on, popping your full mag cannon, absorbing that damage, poke, bubble breaks, mag cannon again. You're able to pull off some pretty insane combos with that. You just got to practice that. You got to practice your primary, getting used to using that. You have to practice your ultimate, knowing when to use it, how to use it. Manage cooldowns, so that way okay, if I pop this, XYZ can't run away, they can't shield their team, they can't fade out, things like that. So cooldown management on everybody on the battlefield is going to be very important. Thank you guys for watching the video. If you liked it, be sure to subscribe to the channel for more and like this video. You might not consider Magneto the strongest Vanguard, but he's by far from the weakest. He's honestly probably one of the more balanced ones. Like I said before, he's very consistent and reliable as both a solo and duo Vanguard. If you haven't yet, I definitely recommend picking him up, adding him to your arsenal, because that's ultimately what he is. He's a very reliable tool to use in this game. Be sure to check back for more master classes, and I will see you guys in the next video. Thank you.